It is somewhat unfair to get any kind of attention or focus from John. He's watching the Astros right now. 6-1 as Craig gave us an update in the 7th inning against Minnesota to try to get that series back to 2-1. John, are you paying attention to us?
No, I'm watching this because I've been wanting the Rangers to win, and what the Rangers have done has been unbelievable. That's why they talked Bruce Bochy out of retirement. To go on the road, they have been home since September 26th till tonight, and the fact they went to the Angels, then they went to Seattle, then Tampa, then Baltimore, and after blowing the division in Seattle, I thought they were not going to get beyond Tampa, and they have been magnificent. I would love to see the Rangers and the Astros playing for the World Series. I don't know if Major League Baseball would be big enough for something that would be that monumental in the Lone Star State. And I tell you what, it would dwarf the Cowboys and that god-awful team they've got that got stomped and humiliated in Santa Clara.
I don't know what you're talking about, John. I've blocked it from my memory. I don't
blame you. Hey, we're a baseball state right now.
That's right. John, let's talk about those Cowboys for a second. They had such every game has been weird in the score. Every game they have is 42-10 somehow, whether it's them or their opponent with the 49ers this last week. Is this Dak Prescott, among other things they have problems with, is he maybe exposed that he's hit his ceiling?
I don't know. I mean, it looks to me like they're missing Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore is going to want to stick it to him in the next game. And I'm still not exactly sure why they ran him off. And they did run him off. And Dak is not the same quarterback. He's not had any consistency, hadn't had any excellence. You could count on him sometimes to throw for over 300 yards, even if it's a loss, bring him from behind. I don't hold the game Sunday night against him because they were bad in every way. But, there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. There's Jerry Jones is going to say, we don't need one, even though the cap figure last year of his contract is ungodly. I don't know if it's the lack of not having Kellen Moore with him, if it's McCarthy's antiquated play calls, but he is not the same quarterback. And that defense has got no business being pushed around like it was by the 49ers. And right now, I thought the Cowboys were top 5 team. Right now, I don't even know if they're a top 10 team. And I didn't even count the Arizona game. That was just a case of taking a team lightly. But I at least thought they would be competitive against the 49ers. And right now, clearly, the NFC East, unless there's dramatic transformation in both teams, is going to have a repeat champion for the first time in more than a decade, and that's going to be Philadelphia, which is the second best team, but is yet to be dominant like last season. If the 49ers hadn't lost their quarterback, they lose Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, and they have to go with Josh Johnson signed off the street, they might have been able to win the division in the Super Bowl. And right now, the leading candidate to be the MVP is Brock Purdy. And a lot of Cowboy fans down here told me the last 2 days, well, we'll see him again. Just like the Longhorns fans, well, we'll see him again. And I think the Longhorns got a better chance of seeing the Sooners again than the Cowboys do of seeing the 49ers.
John, you mentioned his name there, but Brock Purdy, here in Big 12 country, we saw plenty of him, played Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game a few years back, and then goes on to be Mr. Irrelevant. Obviously, the Cyclones were pretty successful during his time there, but my gosh, Mr. Irrelevant to this now with San Francisco. What have been your thoughts on his rise and his play?
Time we quit talking about him being Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
At some point, people stopped talking about Brady being a sixth-round pick. And I know some people think that he reminds them of Joe Montana. Very smart, doesn't throw bad passes, doesn't have a great arm, cool under pressure, is accurate, makes really good decisions with the ball, and that's what I see. Montana was a third-round pick. Bill Walsh wanted Steve Dills from Stanford, couldn't get him, so got stuck with a quarterback from Notre Dame. And I see that in Purdy, and people give Kyle Shanahan all the credit. And she calls the plays, but boy, they're doing a great job of coaching him during the week and preparing him. I just think I saw the odds in Vegas of him being MVP are 4-1, and I would, if I were a betting man, I'd put some money on that one.
John McClain with us, 365 Sports Hall of Fame columnist. John, we had Mack Rhodes on earlier today. It's something that you could listen to later on. Obviously, it's a very, very bad time. The football team is not good. 2-4, slaughtered by Texas Tech at home. Watching from where you do watch them, your thoughts about what you've seen so far?
Can I plead the fifth?
Yeah, you can. I'll tell you this.
No, let me point this out, David. The last 3 days, I've spent a lot of time with the Gridiron Legends of Texas, and there's a lot of former Baylor players in there, as well as Longhorns and Aggies and players from other states that were great here. And we've done charity events and had announced the class of 2023. We had dinner last night, golf tournament today, and not one of the Baylor fans is not really, really upset with the program, and it goes to talent. When you see them getting manhandled in the offensive line, and I think at UT, every lineman on the team, as long as he's on scholarships, gets $50,000 a year. So you get $250,000 if you're there 5 years. I know Mattress Mac Sarkeesian asked him to do an NIL with one of his offensive linemen, and Mac did it. And I don't know what Baylor's doing for NIL, but whatever it is, it's got to be more. And it's embarrassing to see them get defeated so bad up front. And that's where it starts. And I feel bad for the running backs. I feel bad for Blake Shapen, although Shapen several times would run into sacks. He doesn't look like he's got a lot of pocket presence, but still, you're getting pulverized up front. And if you can't win up front, you're not going to win many games.
John, are you ready to start an NIL collective in Houston?
I'm ready for basketball season. That's what I'm ready for. I want to see these guys, starting with Walker, that Scott Drew has brought in there. I don't like the thing about Gonzaga. Yormark's trying to get them in. I saw a story today. He wants to negotiate separate TV deals for basketball and football, and so he wants every name program he can get. And that sounds great, but my God, the Big 12 is tough enough as it is. And every time something happens, I think, okay, how's that going to affect the Bears? As somebody, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL Network, said Big 12 basketball is going to be like Thunderdome.
John, Texans. I saw Graylin Arnold and Jalen Peachtree combined for a pretty nice play with the forced fumble and the fumble recovery, but not enough in the end. They fall to the Falcons 21-19. What was the tail of the tape here?
They won. C.J. Stroud took them to a touchdown with 1:49 left too much time on the clock. The defense did a great job shutting down Bijan Robinson with 46 yards, couldn't stop him. Texans lost on a field goal with no time left, and they didn't play well in several areas. But the fact they should have won the game, despite that, made people feel good about where they are. And I'm not talking about them, but those of us who follow them. They can't run ball worth a lick. They can't score in the red zone. Not good on third down. But, they could have beaten the Falcons. Now they host the Saints, and I think they got a chance to beat New Orleans. They've got a chance to win every game they play, and I'm not saying they're going to win 10 or make the playoffs or even compete for the playoffs, but that proverbial light at the end of the tunnel, we see it under D'Amico Ryans, knowing all these teams that need a franchise quarterback, knowing the Texans have one. It makes you get excited for what's ahead.
John, thank you very much. Keep watching the Astros as they take a 2-1 lead in that series.
Good luck to the Rangers and Pick'em Bears.
There you go, John McClain with us on 365 Sports Tuesday.